Reality fights back. Elliot Grange had spent years weaving stories, watching reality subtly bend to his words, but he had never truly understood the force he wielded. He thought of himself as the creator, the one in control. But now, something was wrong. At first, it was small, a word he swore he had written appearing differently on the page, a scene that felt off when he reread it. The shift was subtle, just enough to make him doubt himself, but then it escalated. People started behaving in ways he hadn't predicted. Lena's name appeared where it shouldn't. Documents referenced her as if she had never died. Conversations he overheard implied things that shouldn't be possible. It wasn't just that Leanna was gone. It was as if reality refused to accept her death. One night, Elliot woke up in a cold sweat, staring at his manuscript. The final line, "The detective dies at dawn," was still there, inked onto the page. But when he tried to turn to the next chapter, the pages rewrote themselves before his eyes. The writer believed he controlled reality, but reality was never his to command. His breath hitched. He didn't write that. Elliot Grange had built himself as the architect of the world, but now, for the first time, the world was writing back. And he was no longer the author. Chapter 6. The Rewrite of Elliot Grange. Elliot Grange had always been the one writing reality. Every word, every sentence, shaping the world to his will. But now, he was the one being rewritten. At first, the changes were subtle, barely noticeable. His handwriting seemed different. The way people spoke to him shifted ever so slightly, as if they were remembering a version of him that didn't exist. Then the changes grew. A stranger greeted him on the street, calling him by a name he didn't recognize. His reflection lingered a second too long, staring back at him with an expression he didn't feel. And then he saw her. Liana. Not a ghost, not a shadow, but something worse. She was in his manuscript, etched in ink where she shouldn't be. He flipped through the pages frantically, but her name was everywhere. Moments he had never written, words that weren't his. Elliot Grange was never the true author. He was just another character in the story. He gasped, clutching the page. It wasn't his handwriting. Reality had started fighting back. Liana had started rewriting him. This pushes the psychological horror to the next level. Elliot is losing control, and Liana's influence is growing. Should we expand this further? Perhaps have Elliot try to fight back, only to realize he no longer controls his own narrative? Let's keep pushing this eerie tension. Chapter 7. The Fractured Narrative. Elliot Grange was unraveling. He refused to accept it, refused to believe that his own story had slipped beyond his control. He gripped his pen tightly, forcing words onto the page, trying to reclaim his authority. The detective is gone. Reality settles. The writer prevails. The ink dried. The sentence held. But as he stared, the letters shifted. The words rewrote themselves. The detective was never gone. Reality never belonged to the writer. The story is no longer his to tell. Elliot gasped, flipping through his manuscript only to find entire passages changed, his own past altered. Events that he never wrote but somehow lived through, people remembering him differently. And then he heard it. A whisper. Not a voice, not something external. A thought that was not his own. You wanted to erase me, Elliot, but you never understood the rules of your own power. Liana was still here. Not haunting him, consuming him. And the more he tried to fight back, the more his words betrayed him. His own story was slipping away. And soon so was he. Chapter 8. The Last Rewrite. Elliot Grange was fading. His memories warped. People remembered a version of him he didn't recognize. Places changed before his eyes, shifting into scenes he had never written. Liana was rewriting him. But Elliot wasn't finished yet. He stumbled to his desk, gripping the edges as if holding himself in place could stop the unraveling. One last attempt, one final rewrite. The detective never existed, the writer remains, reality stabilizes. He pressed the pen harder, forcing the words into existence. This had to work. It always worked before. But then, his hand refused to move. Not frozen, not paralyzed. Instead, the pen dragged itself across the page, forming letters, not his own. The writer was never the true storyteller. His words were borrowed, his control an illusion. Elliot screamed, clawing at the paper, tearing pages from his manuscript. It changed anyway. The ink moved beneath his fingertips. The paragraphs rearranged themselves, shifting his identity, rewriting his presence. And then for the first time he felt it. The emptiness. The slow erosion of thought, the vanishing of self. His name faded from records, from memory, from existence. Elliot Grange was no longer the author. He was just another story. And the final rewrite belonged to Liana. Epilogue, the last page. The manuscript sat untouched. No hands flipped through its pages. No voice read its words aloud. The world had moved on, unaware that a single book had once held the power to shape reality. No one remembered the name Elliot Grange. No records, no mentions, no echoes of his existence. But in the quiet, in the space between stories, something remained. A faint impression, a whisper in ink. On the final page of the manuscript, where no words should have existed, a new sentence formed itself. A writer lost in his own tale, forgotten, but not gone. Reality had rewritten him. But something, some small lingering fragment, refused to disappear completely. Perhaps it was Liana's influence. Perhaps it was the universe correcting an error. Or perhaps Elliot Grange was still waiting. For another rewrite. For another story. For another chance.
Story overview. An acclaimed thriller novelist, known for his chilling crime stories, begins publishing a new serial online, one chapter at a time. The narrative is gripping, unsettling, and eerily precise. But what starts as fiction soon bleeds into reality. The murders described in the manuscript happen exactly as written. The victims, the locations, even the method. It's all an identical match. The police scramble for answers, but there's only one possibility. Someone is turning the story into reality. Is the author orchestrating these crimes? Or has a reader, an obsessive fan lurking in the shadows, decided to bring the words to life? As the next chapter is posted, the looming question remains: who is the next victim? And can the next chapter be stopped before it's too late? If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and click the bell notification icon. It really helps out. Enjoyed the video? Please leave a like, subscribe, and click the bell notification icon. It really helps.